Happy New Year! Hello and welcome to another episode of Spaghetti Western Podcast Season 3. I'm your host, Tom Betts, and while Jay Jennings is on hiatus making a film, we've decided to do an offshoot of the regular program and do a shorter, more compact show and a variation of Westerns all'Italiana fanzine. I'll cover a film, who are those guys, and the news of the week, a couple other features. So I thought we'd start with a history of the Euro Western, where most people think the genre started with Sheriff of Fractured Jaw or Gunfighters of Casa Grande. Historians point to 1942's The Girl of the Golden West, where actually the earliest film short was shown in 1896 called Repas de Indians. It was a short European Western by the Lumiere brothers, 2 minutes in duration, and it filmed Mexican Indians in 1896. Native American scenes and more depictions of the West continued to be popular among the European studios in the early days of single reel films. This one was made in, like I said, 1896, directed by Gabriel Villar, photographed by him, and it was shown in February 21st, 1897. The story goes it's a group of Indians are sitting on a street with the camera placed right in front of them. For less than a minute, we watch the Indians as they sit there and basically do nothing. But like that, at the same time, if you enjoy these types of movies, then you should find this one interesting and entertaining. The most fascinating aspect is just getting to see the Indians as they were in 1896. We get to see authentic clothing, hats, and other apparel that they are wearing or holding. If you're a fan of these actuality movies, then this one here offers you plenty of things to see, which is a great thing. Now, also in 1896, there was a longer version of this that you can find on YouTube, so take a look at that. Just put under Repas de Indians. In 1908, I found another French short called Les Justices des Rogues, I guess. All I can find out again was done by Pathé Frères, which is Pathé Brothers. In Paris, it was done in black and white, 155 meters. They never listed any people that were involved as far as cast members or anything like that. Then we jump up all the way to 1906 with the arrival of Buffalo Bill in Rome, and what they did was they made this basically a news short, and they filmed the arrival of Buffalo Bill in a parade in downtown Paris. This was produced by the Felicio Albertini and Dante Santoni. Also black and white. It's a film short of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show arriving in Rome. I'm sorry, it wasn't Paris, it was Rome. It actually shows Buffalo Bill, who is William Cody. And there's a couple of stills taken from the film itself. As you can see, Indians basically marching down the street, which is a novelty to the Europeans to see something they'd only read about. At this point, we'll skip ahead to one of our features called "Who Are Those Guys?" or "Whatever Became of." And this one is "Whatever Became of." I picked out Dan Vaffiatis. I was curious about Dan Vaffiatis. He was born Constantine Daniel Vaffiatis on January 3rd, 1938 in Shanghai, China. He died on June 11th, 1987 in Lancaster, California of a drug overdose. He was a stuntman, stage actor, film and TV actor. He was married to Sharon M. Jessup from 54 to his death, and he was the father of Nicholas Dean Nick Vaffiatis, who was born in 1981. I'm sorry, Sharon was born in 54. She married Dan from 80 to 87. Dan appeared in 5 Euro Westerns. Among them were Pirates of the Mississippi in 1963, where he plays Bud Blackfoot or Bud Jackson. In 1965, he played DeGuayo, which is shown here, and that's probably his best role of the spaghetti westerns. In 66, he popped up in Fort Yuma Gold as Nelson Riggs. There he is, no mustache, no beard, no long sideburns, looking very modern. He played Nelson Riggs in this film with Juliana Gemma. Then we go to 67, where he plays a character called Enpline in The Stranger Returns with Tony Anthony. And finally, he ends up in 69 with God Will Forgive My Pistol as Deputy Jason Martin, with starring Wade Preston. And there he is in Pirates of the Mississippi with Horst Frank. And the last picture you saw before this one was from God Will Forgive My Pistol. There he is as Enpline in The Stranger Returns, looking almost like he did in High Plains Drifter with Clint Eastwood. So Clint must have known of his work in the spaghetti westerns to put him in Bronco Billy, High Plains Drifter, and a couple of other of his later American westerns. Okay, we'll move along to who are those guys? And this one is one that we've been teasing you with over several episodes. His name is Alfonso Vidi, and he actually played half soldier in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He was born in Madrid sometime in the 1920s. He's passed away sometime in the 80s, I guess, in Salcidos, Guarda, Pontevedra, Spain. He lost his leg sometime in the Spanish Civil War, and he ran a jewelry store in Madrid, so he was known to some of the filmmakers, and they used him in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We found out later, thanks to some of our research, that he appeared in for sure in 100 Horsemen, also known as the son of El Cid, in 1964, and we think he popped up in Vengeance Ranch as a saloon patron. He's propped up on a bench or a seat behind a table, so you really can't see him. There he is in Son of El Cid. But that's who Alfonso Vidi is, and we finally found out who Half Soldier. He wasn't in the credits of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, so we always questioned who he was. Some people said he was Jose Tyrone. That's not right. I asked Jose's son when we did the Jose Tyrone brothers episode, and he said no, he only played the spy tied to the front of the train in that film. The film of the week we're going to concentrate on is The Treasure of Silver Lake. It's the first of the Winnetou films. I finally got Jay to watch some of these films, and he says yes, we could use these as a preface to the spaghetti westerns, influence on the spaghetti western genre. And they are. There's a lot of actors that were in these films that popped up later in the spaghetti westerns. Treasure of Silver Lake, known as Der Schatz im Silbersee, was a 1962 West German Yugoslavia film produced by Rialto Film in Berlin and Jadran Film in Zagreb. Was produced by Horst Wendland and Zvonko Kovacic, directed by Harold Reinl. Story was by Carl May. Screenplay was by Harold G. Peterson, with cinematography by Ernest W. Kalinke. Music, of course, was by Martin Botcher, and it ran 111 minutes. Some of the predominant stars in this film were Lex Barker played Old Shatterhand, Pierre Brice played Winnetou, Herbert Lom from the Pink Panther series played Colonel Brinkley, Gotts George played Fred Engel, Karen Dorr played Ellen Patterson, Ralph Walter, Sam Hawkins, Eddie Arendt played Lord Castlepool, Mariana Hope played Mrs. Butler, and Mirko Bowman played Uncle Gunstick. The story is that Colonel Brinkley, Herbert Lom, has heard rumors about a treasure hidden near Silver Lake. A map torn into two different parts reveals the exact location of the treasure. Brinkley has killed the owner of the first half of the map, a man called Engel, and is now in search of the second half, which is in possession of Engel's friend, Patterson. But Engel's son, Fred, who seeks revenge for the violent death of his father, teams up with Winnetou and Old Shatterhand, and eventually they all meet up at Silver Lake. Carl Friedrich May, who's the author of these Winnetou films, was born in Ernstthal, Kingdom of Saxony, German Confederation on February 25, 1842. He was an educated man. He taught school, but was accused of stealing several times during his training and spent 4 years in prison from 1865 to 1869. After his release, he continued his life of crime as an impersonator and swindler. He was jailed again from 1870 to 1874. He must have spent time reading during his imprisonment, and one author, James Fenimore Cooper, must have been a favorite of his, as his Winnetou films are comparable to Cooper's tales of The Last of the Mohicans. After his release from jail, he began to write, married, and continued to live a life of insolvency. In 1891, May wrote The Treasure of Silver Lake. Finally, in 1892, he released a collected book on his fictional travels. This brought him financial security and fame. Many of his readers began to ask if his fictional characters were really based on the life of Karl May. Being the con man he was, he didn't deny the rumors and toured and sold autographed copies of himself dressed in period outfits. May died in Radebeul, Kingdom of Saxony, German Confederation, on March 30th, 1912. Today his books are still very popular in Germany and are read by children as we read Mark Twain. Some of the main characters we need to talk about, or at least show and tell you who they are, in the Karl May films are, of course, Winnetou. He was the chief of the Mescalero Apaches and blood brother of Old Shatterhand. He's played by Pierre Brice, who lived from 29 to 2015. Then there's Old Shatterhand, the first of the scouts. He was a frontier scout and blood brother of Winnetou. He is the alter ego of Karl May. He was played by Lex Barker, who lived from 1919 to 1973. The next scout that appears in the Winnetou series is Old Surehand, another frontier scout and friend of Old Shatterhand and Winnetou. He's played by Stuart Granger, who lived from 1913 to 1993. A bit of trivia here as you take a look at him, and the next guy, Old Firehand, played by Rod Cameron, was a third scout. He lived from 1910 to 1983. So we have Lex Barker, who died in 73. Firehand died in 83, played by Cameron. And Stuart Granger died in 1993, so they all died 10 years apart. Another character is Neshotishi, Winnetou's sister, killed in Apache Gold, which is Winnetou 1. She was killed saving Old Shatterhand, but her character was so popular the audience were so upset her to death she was brought back in Winnetou and Old Firehand. She was played by Marie Versini, who lived from 1939 until just recently in 2021. Then we have a sidekick of Old Surehand named Old Wobbles. He's usually used for comic relief. He's played by Patty Fox. That's a stage name. He lived from 1920 to 1988. Then there's Sam Hawkins, who appears in almost all of the Winnetou films. He was played by Ralph Walter. He's an eccentric but friendly trapper. He was scalped, so he wears this ridiculous wig from episode to episode. Ralph was born in 26, and he's still with us. Then there's Lord Castlepool, played by Eddie Arendt. He's a British, mild-mannered, bumbling butterfly collector who pops up from time and time again. He was born in 25 and died in 2013. A couple of things about the Winnetou film Treasure Lake is there's a guy that pops up in a saloon scene in the very beginning that looks like he's wearing a fishing outfit. He's got a little basket over his shoulder like you'd put fish in, and he's in a green outfit that doesn't look contemporary at all to the film. And he's only in it for a shot, so we're wondering if that was a shot that should have been cut out or what. Then there's another scene when they attack the ranch, and they throw torches up on the roof to burn it down. Well, you can always see a patch up on the roof where it's already been burnt. So this looks like it was a second take, and they didn't bother to go back up and put new shingles on it. But the Indians ride in and save the day, and they're all dressed in basically Eastern outfits, not Western Indian outfits. They all wear headdresses and the Plains Indians and the Eastern Indians, not of like the Apaches and the Comanches. But it's an entertaining film. Look at it like you would as a 13, 14-year-old going to see the Saturday matinee, and you'll enjoy it quite a bit. The photography is fantastic. Acting's not bad, and I think you'll enjoy it. But watch that one first to get an idea of what the series would be like. Okay, from there we want to go to the CD of the week. And the CD of the week, if I can find mine. And this album or CD of the week is Vado Lamazzo Eterno. It's Any Gun Can Play. It was done by composer Francesco De Masi. The film was directed by Enzo Castellari, starred George Hilton, Gilbert Roland, and Ed Burns. This was the original. This is not the original. It was the original release of the complete score, which was on Beat CDCR 91. It was released in 2011, and it has 16 tracks. Total listening time is 41 minutes and 55 seconds. And that's our album or CD of the week. Then we want to go to the weekly news. And we have to do a catch up on this week since we weren't on at Christmas. So got to. Okay, the weekly news. First of all, I want to make you aware of a documentary that's making the rounds. It's supposed to come out in January, but it's already appeared in Westwood, California, sometime 2 weeks ago because Rob Word and Bruce Boxlight went to see it and sent me a picture of it. But it's called Ennio, the documentary by Giuseppe Tornatore, dedicated to the great Ennio Morricone, will be released in cinemas in Europe at least on January 27th, distributed by Lucky Red. Like I said, it's already appeared here. If you go on YouTube, you can see a trailer of it. It's in Italian, but what you're going to see is the music, not the talking points. There's also been a new book released this week, or it has been released. It goes back to November 22nd, which I just found out about this week. It's called Hugo Fregonese, Cine de Doquier, which is Hugo Fregonese, Cinema Everywhere by author Carlos Aguilar. It's in Spanish with 224 pages and was released in November 22nd of this year. Here's a picture of the Ennio poster. So look for that. And there's a picture of the Fregonese book. Okay. Also this week, we've got quite a few obits, like 4 obits. Most important was Agata Liss, and she's got quite a nice obituary. She was a Spanish actress and singer. Agata Liss died in Marbella, Andalusia, Spain on November 12th, 2021, but it was just made known a week ago. She was only 68. It was just reported on December 23rd. A prominent figure in the cinema of the 1970s and 80s, she was one of the great faces and bodies of the period. Although she knew how to leave that stage behind, and when she had the opportunity, she showed that she was also a good actress. The death of the singer, who has just been made public, it occurred although they have not disclosed the cause of her death. This has been confirmed by the Union of Actors and Actresses through the Twitter account of Margarita Garcia Sansegundo. She was born December 3rd, 1953 in Valladolid, Castilla y León, Spain. She jumped from the small screen to the big screen after appearance in the popular television program 123 by Chico Abeno Serrador in 1972. It was there that the platinum blonde image was forged, in which her brain was much less important than the rest of the body, a circumstance that she now knew how to use throughout her career without ever denying the roles that made her famous. For in Spain at the time, it was like having their own Marilyn Monroe. Liss came to star in La Nueva Maryland in 1976 under the direction of Jose Antonio de la Loma. Liss appeared in 4 Euro westerns: In the Name of the Father, The Son, and the Colt in 71 as Antoinetta, Tony Pickford, Tequila in 1972 as Senora Ingrid Kogan, and Three Supermen of the West in 73 as Yolanda or / Agata, and Valley of the Dancing Widows in 74 as Maria. I got a kick out of the poster for In the Name of the Father and the Son and the Ghost, as they showed her in typical Western garb. Yeah, right. Turtleneck sweater, showing her assets. That looks like something that came right out of the 70s, but that was Agata Liss. Then we have Hank van der Linden. Most of you aren't going to know him because he made children's movies, but he was famous as a Dutch filmmaker. He died on December 18th, 2021 in Tuden, Germany. He was 96. Hank made around 80 children's films, mostly based on well-known youth literature. He had his entire family, wife and kids, involved in various roles before and behind the camera. His film, New Adventures of Dick Tom, set a record mentioned in the Guinness Book of World Records as it ran for 28 consecutive years. He was knighted in the Order of Netherlands Lion in 2020. Hank produced, directed, wrote, photographed, acted in, edited, and composed the music for two Euro Westerns, Adventures in the West in 63 and Indian Attack and Death Pass in 67. Here's one that I've been looking for information on this guy for years, and of course you don't find it until they pass away. Jaime Comas, Spanish producer, screenwriter Jaime Comas died in Madrid, Spain on December 21st, 2021. He was 85. Jaime Comas Gil was born in Terrassa, Barcelona, Spain in 1936. It was in 1964 when, hired by Ocean Films, he began writing and co-writing screenplays for international co-productions, most of them with Italy. Thus came the opportunity to embark on the script for A Fistful of Dollars, the first film in the Dollar Trilogy, followed by For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The best-known title in his filmography and starring Clint Eastwood. The film, which laid the groundwork for the spaghetti western as a film subgenre, brought fame to Clint Eastwood and director Sergio Leone. Also focused on the Spanish screenwriter who worked alongside other directors, A. Bonzoni and Victor Andres Catena in his writing. Comas founded Arcos Films in 68, Alas Films in 73, and New World Films International in 1998. He was a production manager and screenwriter on Fistful of Dollars and associate producer on 1999 One Man's Hero, overlooked for years. And last but not least is Renato Scarpa, Italian supporting and character actor. Renato Scarpa died at his Rome, Italy home on December 30th, 2021. He was 82. Born on September 14th, 1939, Scarpa began his career in the early 70s and went on to appear in over 160 films. He appeared in two Euro Westerns, Buddy Goes West in 1981 as Logan, and The Sons of Trinity in 1995 as Pablo. So that wraps it up for the first episode, Season 3 of Spaghetti Western Podcast, Westerns All'Italiana edition. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you next week and have a great new year in 2022.